Mary Ruddick here for CaptainSoup.com. Today I want to talk to you about a few conditions that tend to be tightly linked, and that is PCOS, endometriosis, and infertility. These conditions are so common you can practically throw a stone and hit a woman who's experienced one of these or more of these conditions. It's very common to have comorbidities with this. So a person with endometriosis, it's very common to have PCOS and also infertility. All of these conditions have become far more common as our blood sugar and our insulin has become imbalanced as a nation. And it's really become a very sad story. So I want to give you all some tools that you can use if you're dealing with these conditions that you can try and see if they work for you. A couple of things with all three of these conditions is that, I should say first off, there are many causes of infertility. It can be poor egg quality, it can be hormonal imbalance, which you get at actually through the insulin, and we're going to discuss that. So there's many causes to infertility. This is just one, but it's a big one that tends to get missed. I often see women after they've done 7 or so rounds of infertility treatments, and yet their diet hasn't been addressed. These women are often very healthy looking, they feel healthy, but they're not able to get pregnant. And if that's you, this is something I would recommend trying if you haven't already. So let's talk about insulin a little bit, what it is and why it affects these female hormonal conditions so much. Insulin is one of our hormones that helps with blood sugar, and we think of it with diabetes and these kind of things, but really it's very important. Our ovaries have thousands of sensors on them for insulin. And you might be thinking, well, why? Why would the ovaries have anything to do with insulin? Because really, directly, they don't. But what they're sensing for is if it's a good time to have a viable pregnancy. And if there's a lot of insulin in the blood, it's going to see it as a time of stress, and the body is either going to overproduce androgens, so you're going to see more of the PCOS type pictures, or estrogen. There you'll see more of the endometriosis, or both. You'll see both together. So when you're working on these conditions, you really want to balance your insulin first to get at the estrogen dominance or androgen dominance that you see in these conditions. To do that, I highly recommend you go on a specially formulated ketogenic, very low carb diet, but specifically ketogenic because protein can still spike that insulin, and it can also still spike the blood sugar in a lot of these folks. So you want to go very high fat, moderate, low protein, very low carbohydrate. But more importantly, you don't want to eat often. You want to have about 2 meals a day because every time you eat, you spike your insulin. So you want to have larger meals at those 2 meals and fast for the rest of the time. Still getting plenty of your calories in there. Our ketogenic soups at Captain Soup are perfect. And if you have a detox issue, which many women with infertility do, if you haven't had this tested, I highly recommend it. The phase 2 and 3 detox channels in the liver often are just slower than in other people. So for those folks, they often aren't overproducing hormones, but they're not clearing them fast enough. For those folks, soluble fiber, like found in our green machine soup, is excellent. You still want to be in ketosis, you still want to be low carb, but you want to take advantage of that soluble fiber that you have in our soups. And we actually have that in each and every one of our soups with the onions and the garlic and these kind of things. But definitely the green machine is the highest. Now, with endometriosis and PCOS, that's what you do from a diet sphere, and you want to do it for 3 to 6 months. It takes about 3 months to regulate the hormones, and you want to be particular about it. This is not a weight loss diet. This is not a moderation diet. In fact, moderation does not work with your hormones. You've really got to clean the slate and do this right. But if you do it right for 3 to 6 months, that's usually very effective, and then individually you can use certain herbs as well that you can try. For instance, if you have heavy bleeding during your cycle, raspberry leaf tea can be just a lifesaver if you drink 5 cups a day. It won't work for everyone, but oh, it can be wonderful. So I would be remiss if I didn't mention that. Now, let's go into infertility, because infertility can often result from PCOS and endometriosis. Infertility, you want to get at the insulin issues first and foremost, and then you want to start working on very deep nutrition. We have all been born in a time of shallow nutrition. We're often lacking the fat-soluble vitamins found in organ meats and saturated fats and these kind of things. And with the more plant-based narrative, especially in more cereals and whole grains that have really been pushed on us, we've become even more deficient in the D's, the A's, the K's, and these are the animal forms that are so important for fertility. Another thing that's very much affecting it is our fatty acid profile. You want to make sure you've got lots of DHA, of course, and that goes into our hormones. So a lot of people don't realize this. Maybe they've been told that their egg quality is poor. You know, they have eggs, but their egg quality is poor, and so a pregnancy is not likely. That's actually something you can change. And studies show that. You can actually change egg quantity or quality. You can't change the quantity. You're born with that. But the quality you can change. Melatonin is one of the most helpful things for that. So if you're not getting good sleep, and I mean sleeping in pitch black, you really need to sleep in pitch black. Get your melatonin levels checked and get up and get into the sun every morning. Make sure you're doing relaxing activities like meditation and other things that help your circadian rhythm. Mild exercise, never severe exercise when you're trying to get fertile. But walking, swimming, biking, tennis, these kind of things are all good. So you can do that to help to get your melatonin up. Another nutrient that's often very helpful is inositol, which is a bit like a B precursor and can be very helpful. And then, of course, all the things that you'll see online, like folate and B12, and these things should be addressed as well. There's an interesting and fun correlation between cassava and twins. Cultures that eat a lot of cassava tend to have the most twins. It's only a correlation, but it's a fun one. So some people supplement with that too. I usually find, though, if you get at the diet and lifestyle, that's often just what it takes to get a nice pregnancy going. So try that. Give it 3 to 6 months. Definitely go 12, 24 months for sure, but do that first 3 to 6 months very carefully and get yourself into a good level of ketosis. Get healthy protein from lamb and beef. Eat lots of soups to regrow your nervous system lining, your immune system lining, and your gut lining, and really balance out that insulin level for your own fertility and well-being so that you're not suffering with PCOS and endometriosis. This is Mary Ruddick. This is a huge topic. I've done a couple podcasts on this, so if you haven't checked those out, go Google that and ask me any other questions below.